resonated so much with you and my kids, I'm super laid back. I am super like, almost to the point where like, if it's not gonna kill us, then like, I can't stress about it. But I have a senior this year who is stressed about, oh my gosh, I'm an adult and I'm not ready for that. And then I have an 8th grader that is like, Mom, I need to get my engineering degree today because I have these plans. And I'm like, slow down, please be 13. So I understand our children are facing a lot, and the community support that we need, like it takes a village, and we should all be helping support each other, and that starts by showing up in person. So I'm so thankful for all of you. ParentWiser is a community support. It is a support system through ISF. So I want to thank ISF for being here. Through Influence the Choice, I'm part of that. And also the Circle, and they're a huge part of this too. They provided the space for us today because we are all stronger together. We have some more events coming up. We have helping families navigate the transitions in January. Transitions in the U.S. school system. We have a secure gun storage and safety on January 27th. We have Hidden in Plain Sight, which is an Influence the Choice thing where we put up a bedroom, a teenage bedroom, and see if you can find the hidden substances, because they're really tricky nowadays, and they're clever, and these companies market to your children specifically. And you can order it off Amazon. It's wild. On February 25th, we have effective communication with your teen, because they talk in riddles now. It's very confusing. In early March, we're doing a tobacco awareness where PAVE is now going to come into our state for the first time, which is really exciting, and take back kid-free tobacco. And then also Invisible Disabilities in March, and Beyond Loneliness in April, which is really impactful because for the first time, the youth and teen generation is the loneliest population. So with that, I would like to welcome our guest speaker today, Milo Cavic. I said that right this time?
You did.
I did, yes. And so I will hand it over to him.
All right. Thank you, everyone. My name is Milorad, or Milo Cavic, and before I begin, I want to sort of share a story about my friend who invited me to come do this, and I asked my friend hey, why even join a board, or why even join this organization? And she said, as an immigrant, I feel like people don't care about us. I feel like I'm not getting served. And you may or may not find yourself feeling that way in one way or another, but it was the truth. And for me to sort of I sat back and I received this message, and I thought, my family immigrated to this country in 1983. And for them just to get assimilated, I grew up as Michael, because Milorad in the 80s was a really weird name. So I used Michael, and it wasn't until I went to UC Berkeley that I realized, wow, there's so many different people from all over the world. Everyone's got a different kind of name. You know what, my name is good enough. And again, I just sort of keep it simple, Milo. All right. A little bit about me, and I was really good as an athlete once upon a time. I was one of the best in the world. As an athlete, I've done just about everything. I won an Olympic medal. I was a world champion, world record holder. After that, I sort of went into business and realized, I don't really like that field, and I sort of came back to what I've always loved. I've always loved sports. For me, sports is the greatest teacher of life. Whatever activity your children are in, whether it's a sport or music or whatever, we need to start looking at the activity not as something that we compete in, but something that is a vehicle which is going to teach our children about life, what it is to work hard, what is it like to lose, what is it like to sort of stand back, look at what happened, and to find a better path forward. This is life, whether it's our relationships, whether it's business, you have to find a way to push forward. Nothing is ever that easy. I travel the world, literally all over the world. I certify coaches in coaching methodology. I teach lessons and workshops here locally in the state of Washington, and through my coaching journey, I realized, you know what, like I cannot desire this outcome more for you if you don't want it. So I took up life coaching, and this is something I do for fun on the side. How do I get somebody to go from point A to point B? And for a long time, I thought life coaching was a joke. Don't worry, I'm not selling you on anything. I will not life coach your children because that's not really what I do. But it was something that I sort of use when I speak to my clients. You know, what is it that motivates you? How do I get you from here to there? And I suppose that was one of the reasons why I was invited to do this seminar with you. And for me, like my most important job is I'm a father. My son, he goes to Clyde Hill Elementary. He's 9 years old, and again, like he's not a teenager just yet. I don't even know what's ahead. I don't know. I work with other people's teens, and I know what their experience is. But again, their experience is completely different than the one that I have. And just like you, I'm sort of trying to figure things out. If you feel lost, if you feel frustrated, it's okay. Just be empathetic toward yourself. It's going to be okay. I always tell my athletes, just do your best. It's going to be just enough. I promise. All right. So I was given a sort of a structure of things to sort of cover. We're going to talk about managing stress in healthy, constructive ways. We're going to talk about how to cope with pressure in high stakes situations, facing and bouncing back from setbacks, and developing a positive mindset. Before we sort of dive into this, what I think is really, really important is that we sort of establish a foundation and a lens from which we have to sort of look at, have look at this and just sort of know how to proceed in talking to our children and sort of helping them move along. My family is from Serbia. It's formerly Yugoslavia. This country was a socialist country. The mentality of here, of the way Americans are and the way that my parents grew up within socialism, is completely two different worlds. Their motivations of what they thought was completely different, was important, is completely different than the average American. All right, I see some of you look like you're from different places. All right, here's the reality. The way that your parents taught you is partially how you're also parenting your own children. How my coach coached me is partially how I coach my athletes. Now, this isn't true for everybody, but there is a small percentage or a small DNA footprint of what it is that our parents sort of taught us and did to us. We're sort of passing that on to them, and whether we like it or not is just sort of who we are. With that said, you know, we all have different differing perspectives, but there are things that we sort of see as common grounds, is people. Because we are people, we're social beings. We have the same kinds of needs and motivations. We have to also recognize that our values and our priorities, they will change throughout life. When you were a kid, you valued one thing, and when you're toward the end of your life, completely different set of values. One of my greatest and most difficult lessons in life was to stop caring about what people thought. I was at the height of my career. I was that guy who was literally jumping on Twitter and you know, in the comments section, just seeing what are people saying about me. I want to be liked, all right? And for me, I was beaten down by it so much because there's so much toxicity out there in social media and in the comment sections that I just came to this point where, you know what, like these people don't even know me. They don't care about me. Why am I giving so much of my energy to these people? It was a very, very, very difficult lesson to learn. But I finally embraced it, and truly, I just don't care. All right. And really, you know, what we want for our kids to be one day, and we can all agree, we want them to be fully functioning adults. In other words, we don't want our kids to be losers. All right. We want them to be able to interface and talk to other people and to sort of navigate through life. Really, our duty is to sort of bring them to college, when they graduate college, to sort of go on through life and get a job and one day sort of have kids themselves. Funny story. The former president of Serbia, I had sort of a relationship with him, really, really, really good relationship. I was 24 years old. I went to the Serbian White House, and I was hanging out with this guy, and I was 24 years old. He said, "Milo, you should have kids." I'm like, "Mr. President, I'm 24 years old. That's a terrible idea." And he said, no, you should have kids. You don't even need to stay with the mother. I was like, this is not presidential kind of material. And he's like, you'll see, just have kids. And it wasn't until I became a father that I actually understood what he was telling me. It had nothing to do with having children. He was telling me to have kids, but he didn't mean have kids. What he didn't say, essentially was saying was, Milo, become responsible over something. Whether it's becoming responsible over a child or your own business, to where if the business fails, all of your employees will lose their work and their ability to feed their families. Or in his case, to become responsible over a country. Whenever you take responsibility to any degree, you're going to elevate. You are going to grow whether you want to or not. We're going to talk about that shortly. In any case, one thing that I sort of skipped over is at the very end, there will be some question and answers. I'm going to try to help you to the best of my ability. All right, but I sort of want you to keep an open mind. All right. So with all this said, we're still building a platform. All of us as humans, we've got some psychology of this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and this is something that we can apply to everybody. At the very bottom of this pyramid is his physiological needs. This is the most important thing. This is where we all start, is animals. All right, if you think about animals, they fight, they kill. It's everything just to eat. As human beings, as long as we have air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, all right, our physiological needs are settled. And once we have those physiological needs taken care of, then we can start worrying about everything else. Once this is satisfied, we then worry about our safety. Okay, I've got food, I've got water, I've got I've got air. I can live, but will I stay safe? All right, and this safety needs is personal security. It's a roof over my head, doors, just to make sure that no one will enter my room and take my life or my security. All right, it's I would like safety needs. I want to make sure that I've got employment, just so that I can continue supporting this house and my ability to continue eating and drinking, blah, blah, blah. All right. There's resources, health, and property. Everything that you work for, accumulate, you want it to be safe. These are things that we seek after our physiological needs are met. Once you've achieved these two things, you want to seek love and friendship. All right. Again, think about that. Once I know that I'm physiologically able to make it to the next step, I want to make sure that I've got a roof over my head, that I feel safe. I got a job to secure that. I'm looking for friendship, intimacy, family, and a sense of connection. Love is impossible if these two are not satisfied. Once these are satisfied and you achieve love, all right, then you want to feel good about yourself. I want everyone to know who I am. I want to feel esteem. All right. Esteem is it's respect, it's status, it's recognition, it's strength, it's freedom. Esteem is impossible without these bottom three. And finally, once you've achieved esteem, it is the ultimate part of this pyramid, which is self-actualization. I want to be the greatest I can ever be. I want to be the top form of myself. All right. Now, when we sort of address the needs of our children, we have to understand that this pyramid is something that we have to remember. All right. We have to acknowledge this. We're going to come back to this at some point in answering some of your questions. All right. The next thing that I also want us to recognize, and again, I don't care where you're from, but these are sort of things that you care about. And basically what it says is these are our values and our priorities by decade. Now, if you sort of look at this, if you're in your 70s, you're sort of thinking about meaning and legacy of your life. You want to spend time with people. You want to spend time traveling. You want to share your wisdom and your reflections with everybody. I mean, I think about my grandmother, my grandparents. They would share their wisdom. And when I was much younger, I'd be like, The older I get, I sit back and I'm like, my grandmother was right. Right? In your 60s, the main focus is preparation and sort of engagement. You're thinking about your retirement already. You're thinking about your health, whether it's diminishing or not. You're thinking about relationships and the mistakes that you may or may not have made. And really, you're sort of looking for purpose outside of work. My whole life at this point, like, I've worked. I'm trying to assign some kind of purpose to this whole effort. In the 40s and 50s, where I happen to be finding myself, I'm looking for stability. I'm looking for a sort of, and I do reflect on my life. I'm thinking, okay, like I'm 41 years old. You know, if I'm lucky, I'm going to have another 41 years. All right, everything that I've known and I've done all up until now, I sort of want to take the best out of that and be a little bit smarter through the next period of my life. You know, it says that we're worried, that we're thinking about our careers, supporting our children, our health, and our stability. What you do in your 40s and 50s is going to determine how the quality of life that you're going to have at in retirement. All right. In your 30s, we're thinking about our foundations and responsibility. We want to advance in our careers. We're thinking about starting a family. We're thinking about purchasing a home. We're thinking about really nurturing long-term relationships. This is love. You know, we're trying to meet somebody, maybe have some kids someday. In your 20s, you know, out of college, you're completing your education, you're starting your career, the exploration of social and personal relationships. All right, you're still trying to figure out who you are and what you belong to and what you can sort of connect to in your 20s. Now, teens, many of us here have high school children and even some even younger. What's really, really important to them is independence, friendship, identity, achieving some success, personal growth, and honesty. We're going to spend a little bit of time focusing on that honesty thing, because kids, really, I think a lot of us, we talk to our kids and we tell them what to do, but you know, I think it's really, really important that we're upfront with our intentions, what we want for them. Honesty is a really, really big piece. We'll visit that soon. Does anybody have any questions, any comments about this? I think it's pretty general. All right. Next, as parents, you know, what we want for our parents, we want our children to foster a sense of respect for really, it says, toward family, toward our peers, and toward adults. We want them to start accepting responsibility for their actions, the things that they own, their academics, their creative and sports performances. Really, success in these areas, it really allows for more independence. If I can prove to you that I'm responsible enough to take care of my umbrella or my water bottle and not lose it at school, then we can give them more independence. All right. You know, we want our kids to develop social skills, encouraging healthy social connections, and managing emotions in conflict resolution. We want our kids to be likable. We don't want them to be popular, but we want them to be likable and responsible, just so that when they do become adults, I can work with you. I don't need to like you. But I do need to have a sense that, hey, you're a person of integrity. I can talk to you. I can sort of work through things because, you know, again, we don't need to see eye to eye, but we do sort of need to have a level of respect. And that's what we want for our kids. It says we just want well-adjusted and likable adults. All right. So with success and everything that we want for our kids, success and growth, these are important, but we also sort of need to think about what is it that we're doing as parents to sort of support our teens. One of the first bullet points that I just sort of laughed at when I was writing, it says, in what ways and what speed are we loading our kids with responsibilities? Is it gradual? I'm going to be honest. My mother pretty much did everything for me all up until I went to college. From washing my stuff, really she was dressing me until 16. This is true. All right, and as you sort of find out who I am through the rest of this presentation, when you see my schedule, you'll sort of understand how she supported me. And was it good? Probably not, but you know, like I think I'm okay today. You know, good. Yeah, but you know, for example, like my 9-year-old. I gave him a pet fish. And by giving your child a fish, for example, his only responsibility is just to give it a little bit of food every single day. It's like, hey, could you handle this? He's like, I can handle this. Right? And when his pet fish died, he was really, really, really sad, but he learned a lesson. I gave him a pet fish with the expectation that, hey, you know, if you can keep this fish alive, maybe you can move to the next animal group maybe you can get a bird that doesn't live 30 years like some parents do, some parrots do, and parents, but some parrots do. And again, with a bird, for example, you feed it, you give it just a little bit of water, you clean the cage. It's a little bit more responsibility. All right. If they graduate the bird or something similar, a gerbil, hamster, whatever, maybe they graduate to a cat. Cats take care of themselves to the most part. You give them food, the water, pet them, show them some love. That's another level. But sort of a dog. If your kids have no history of caring for any of these things and you just give your child a dog, this might be giving them way too many responsibilities up front. Because to keep a dog alive, you have to feed it every single day. You have to give it water. You have to take it outside. You got to give it exercise. Because if you don't, it's going to tear up your house, right? And again, worst case scenario, it won't survive. So with the responsibilities that we give our kids, you want to give them responsibilities gradually just so that they can see that they can handle it. If you give them too many things, it may become unmanageable. We talked about having too many activities in one day. If there's too many things that you don't know how to do it all at once, this is why we start with one activity. If you got space for one activity, you give them another activity, and you sort of build on this. Are we giving them and allowing for implicit opportunities for friendship and to pursue their creative desires? All right, remember what's really, really important for children: their independence, friendship. All right, their identity. Who am I? Are they having fun? Because if we're not giving them opportunities to have fun and to sort of pursue who they are, then we're going to have a problem. They might become depressed. There's a lot of things that could go wrong if you do not let them have some fun. How is it, are we even teaching our children about time management and goal setting? Hey, if you don't know what goal setting is, you could literally find it on the internet. There's a million books out there. You don't need to read a book about it. All right, it's a very, very simple template. Spend just a little bit of time looking at goal setting. If you don't know how it is, you're going to look at it and you're going to think, duh, yeah, you can do this. All right, maybe if we have some time, I can give you like an overall breakdown of what goal setting is, but it's really, really valuable to know how to set goals and to do activities in the direction of achieving that goal. All right. Really, the failure to address these will create emotional imbalances and frustrations. If you give them too many things, then they don't have a roadmap as to how to approach these challenges. They will be frustrated, and these frustrations do manifest in negative ways, whether it's quitting on everything or fighting you, right? So here's the first thing that was sort of brought forth to me. How do we manage stress in healthy, constructive ways? When we think about stress for students, especially teenagers, what is it that they're really, really stressed about? We could talk about schoolwork, their homework, their exams, and their grades. They're thinking about future plans, worrying about college, right? These are things that they're stressed out about. And there's also overscheduling. Maybe we're giving them way too many things that they have to do, all right? We're thinking about colleges and what's required to get into college. I mean, a lot of people that come to me for my services and what I do is a swimming coach and around that they some of these kids, like they're doing lessons twice a week. They have Kumon or math class like next to that, and they're also playing an instrument. And these I had this 10 or 11-year-old girl who has never seen a movie in her life, and she's 11 years old.
Oh my God.
And I asked, like, well, what is it that you're doing with your free time? It's like, well, I've got 3 hours of activities outside of my school and outside of my regular swimming practice. I'm like, 3 hours of activities? How do you fit everything in? It's just like, well, I literally go to sleep at 11 at night. It's like, you're 10 or 11 years old. Like, you need to be sleeping 9 hours. How do you sleep 9 hours? I'm not. It's like, well, what are you doing for fun if you don't watch movies? It's like, if I do well in swimming, like I could have some fun during the weekends. It's a true story. There's a lot of people just like this. She is not having fun. If she quits by the age of 13 or 14, it will not surprise me at all, right? But too many activities just because you've got to be great at everything, right? Is this true? Probably not. At the bottom is the fear of missing out, and I'm not sure if the FOMO or the fear of missing out is from the children or the parents, because we're taking in so much information. You got to do this, you got to do that if you're just going to be accepted into school. All right. So constructive ways to sort of manage stress, and we're going to talk about each one of these, but it's becoming aware of your time and managing it between your priorities of your teens and their needs. We're going to talk about identifying different and differentiating what variables are within our control and what are not within our control. And I'll tell you, the easiest and cheapest and fastest way to alleviate sort of stress is if you can just consider working out. All right, get some physical exercise, go ride your bike, go play some basketball, whatever it is that you're interested in. Physical exertion of energy, like, it will drop your stress levels. All right, all it costs is a little bit of sweat, and it's going to be healthy. You're going to do better. All right, so I said exercise, meditation, or breathing exercises. Very, very, very effective. All right. Now, time management. As an athlete, and most athletes, you have to become a master of time. I knew every single day, every 15-minute increment of time, where I would be, what I would be doing on every single day of the week. Right here in a simple Excel file, right here I wrote 6 a.m., 6:15, by 15 minutes all to the end of the day. This blue line is sort of when I would spend time in school. But by creating a spreadsheet and writing in what it is, what times we wake up and go to sleep, times when you're in the car in transition between your activities or school, when you eat, all right, and even when you snack, and miscellaneous activities such as dressing, showering, etc., you're going to plot your study time, and really, really important. It's really important to make sure that you have times when the teenager can just have fun. All right? This was my schedule when I was a high school athlete.
Sweetie.
My schedule was very simple, just because I knew what I wanted to be. For me, the priority was training my body to become the greatest athlete I could be. I made the Olympic Games at 16 years old. All right? Now, for me, really what I did was I color-coded this, just because when you color-code this, you have a visual representation of what your life looks like. All right? For me, I was committed to swimming 8 times a week, all right, or 21 hours per week. For me, this was everything. This was my key to the greatest university I can get into. This was my key to achieving my life's dreams. All right? I knew that I was lucky to have my mother prepare all my meals, which were ready at the designated times. And again, I was just fortunate in this way. My mother was a homemaker, and I had this luxury. All right. I color-coded this green. Everything that you see green, it's leisure. It's just something that I can do and I can use as I want. The green, you might sleep. You'll see it's sleep, it's breakfast and cartoons in the morning. In the middle of the day before my second practice, it would be another snack, and I'd be able to watch TV. And again, I want to remind you, this is the very beginning of the 2000s. We didn't have smartphones, we didn't have a lot of things. This was just how I spent my free time. Today, kids might be eating breakfast and on their iPads or their phones. Give it to them. If this is how they choose to spend their leisure, give it to them. It's their choice. For yellow, these are non-stressful things that I need to do. Like at 7 o'clock in the morning, I had to wake up and dress. All right. I had to drive from school at 7:45, and school for me started at 8 o'clock. After school at 2:30, I would drive home, and then I would drive to practice. And of course, I had my swimming. And of course, at the end of swimming, which ended at 6:30, I would dress, drive home, eat dinner, shower, dress up again, and then I would study for 90 to 120 minutes. I usually went to sleep every single night between 9:30 and 10. And this was every single day. because I knew that Tuesday and Thursday morning I needed to be up at 4:45 a.m., leave the house at 5 o'clock, be at the pool at 5:15 to uncover the pool, get everything ready, and I was in the water from 5:30 to 7:30. Boom. This is my life. So by plotting out what your increments of time of 15 minutes, if you're able to collapse these cells and sort of combine them and just draw in, map out what is it that our activities are, you can see where the opportunities are to fit in what is it that you find most necessary. We need to sort of look at talk to our children, what are the priorities? What is important to you? If your kid is in high school, a little bit older, their priorities are probably set by now. If they're in 11th grade, want to do music, they need to focus on this outside of school and their studies. All right. If you want to be serious, you're probably not going to be able to juggle, go juggling and do other things. Again, this is just if you want to be great at something. All right. If your child isn't someone like myself or hasn't decided, that's okay too. But you do need to have a plan, and you do need to visualize what does the week look like so that there is some order to our lives. By seeing where you have opportunities to have fun or to add an extra opportunity, we have the ability to sort of choose, like, hey, child, my son's name is Max, you're 9. Not such a heavy schedule, but again, you can talk to your children and find ways to sort of stick in what is it that you want to do. He's 9 years old for right now, but I'm going to ask him tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow, but in a year, and what is it that you want to do? What are you interested in? My style of parenting is I'm a swimming coach, and I would love for my child to swim, but he's not interested in swimming, and it breaks my heart, but at the same time, the best way that I can connect with him is becoming interested in whatever it is that he's interested in. I know everything about Pokemon. And I know everything about Pokemon because I watched Pokemon. I'm happy that he likes Pokemon. I'm still learning Minecraft. And now I think I understand Minecraft, and it's not as bad as you think it is. It's actually very, very good. I just don't understand why people watch it on the internet. And again, if your child or children are those that watch people play video games on the internet, I don't understand it. But my cousin, he's in the gaming industry. He's a business. He builds business for one of the biggest games in the world. And he said, well, what do you like to watch on TV? I said, I like to watch the NBA. He's like, well, why do you watch the NBA? Because they're the greatest people in the world in a sport that I truly value. He's like, well, your son is just like them. He's watching people, the greatest athletes or the greatest players in the world do something they really very much value. It's the exact same. It is no different than watching a professional game or watching a professional chess match or whatever it is that you think is really impressive. They're doing the exact same thing. There is no difference. They're watching the finest people in the world do something at a very high level. I can respect that. Does anybody have any questions about this management?
Like the weekend, how would you do it? Because you know Saturday and Sunday.
Well, this is again for the sake of space. I can add Saturday and Sunday for you if you want, but
I just want to general plan that you more fun time on Saturday, Sunday. What would you suggest?
I recommend 1 hour per day. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to be together. It could be in the car. It could be whatever they want. In transit, let them do whatever they want. Now, my son, he's 9, and when I'm driving him, this is truly some of the very rarest times when I can actually talk to him. I can understand if you're driving and you want to talk to your kids that this might be the only time when you might have their full undivided attention. That's for you to sort of figure out and manage how you want to do that, right? Building a relationship is not right now. If you don't feel like you have a relationship with your child, just know that you're not alone. You're not alone. All right. It takes trust. It takes a lot of willpower from me just to not give him advice. I watched my son play basketball for 2 hours. He had 2 back-to-back games today, and I'm biting my tongue, trying not to say what I want to say, just because when I say it, it's received as as a coach, which I am, like it's still received as is criticism, you know. And for me, sometimes just biting my tongue and let his coach and let him learn from the experience, it's really big. But learning to listen, it's a life skill. Just because somebody's talking to you doesn't mean that they want your thoughts or your opinion. Sometimes just listening is a great way to start your day, or just to build a relationship. Hey, just tell me whatever you want to tell me, and then ask some more questions. See where it goes.
So 21 hours is quite a bit actually, and your life is very regimented. So I imagine you chose it for yourself. But I just want to understand, like, did it ever feel like, you know, hamster on a wheel, like, okay, I'm just doing this again and again and again without any kind of respite? So always.
I'm 41, and I still like to watch cartoons, and I think it's not just it's not the cartoons that children necessarily watch, but like I like things in cartoon form, whether it's The Simpsons, which when I was a child I watched The Simpsons. That is not a children's cartoon. That is not a children's cartoon. And I still enjoy it partly because I believe I didn't have enough of those opportunities as a child. But yes, swimming was my choice. And despite it being blue, this was a non-negotiable for me, just because for whatever reason, first of all, I love swimming. But I also recognize that this is something that I truly enjoyed, that I wanted to achieve and be great at. I had dreams every single day about being the greatest there's ever been. It wasn't a choice. In fact, I believe everybody is exceptional at something. I think the saddest thing is that we don't allow our children to try enough things to find that thing that they actually really, really like, or that they're really good at. We just sort of stick them into things that we think would be good for them. And and again, when I was a kid growing up in Southern California, we would do 2 weeks of every single sport and physical education. And in this way, they sort of figured out who liked what, and this way we expose our children to everything. Today, kids, they don't know how to throw a Frisbee. This is true. Ask your child if they know how to throw a Frisbee. They probably don't. And I think to myself, what are they learning in schools if they don't know how to throw a Frisbee? And I ask them, what foot do you use to kick a ball? They don't know. What do you mean you don't know? They don't know. They don't know. So to sort of answer, Junie,
Sorry.
to sort of answer your question, like, I knew that this was my path. This is not the path that I recommend even for my own child. I hope that he chooses a far different path than me. All right, but whatever it is that's important to her, we need to prioritize by priority. What is it that is most important to me in my life? What is it that I think I really want to do? What is it that I'm passionate about? And then you have to build around that. Their school, this is a must. And then their next biggest priority, you build around that.
But did you ever have to choose between school and swimming, for example? Because that tends to happen too. School can in itself be so overwhelming.
I'm going to be honest with you. My family came from a socialist background, and school is your way out. I did not have a choice. It wasn't. I mean, I didn't like going to school, but I was okay to go to school. I didn't hate it. In university, I was sitting in the first row. You know, I was lucky enough to go to UC Berkeley, where the professors are some of the greatest in the world, and when they speak, it's almost like it's a show. You know, when somebody knows something so well, they just talk about it. They don't read the slides. They just talk about it, and it comes off the tongue so easily. It was a presentation. You know, for me, going to school, it wasn't something that I was looking forward to going to, but, you know, I did it and I respected my teachers. Now, did I ever have to choose? Well, I needed to go to school. If I ever chose sports between schools, it was the 30 days of school that I missed when I was 16 years old going to the Olympic Games.
With like school itself, like I'm Indian, like I see so many Indian families expect their kids to be in all evening classes, and you know.
Open this just a little bit. Just a little bit.
And then also pursuing a sport or another extracurricular, and it just becomes like overwhelming. So did you have that expectation from yourself that you were going to excel at everything in school as well? Or was it okay to be average at school and you just, this swimming was the thing you wanted to be great at?
We're parents, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. My father, he said you have to be good at school. You have to be really good at swimming. So again, it was 4 rules to not get thrown out of the house. Be good at school, be good at swimming, don't do drugs, right? And again, because that was a very, very closed off part of the world. It was not, like he said, just don't be homosexual. We're laughing. I looked at it, I was like, okay, like, well, I'm definitely not that fourth. And that's not really like, I'm not saying this to be funny. This was just the scope, and this is how he sort of viewed life. Like, you have to be good at school, you have to be good at swimming, you have to not do drugs, and you are limited in who you can love. It's just like, whoa, he did his best because this is how he was taught. And this is the mentality of the country, and this is sort of where he came from. It wasn't his choice. This was just sort of what he was taught. He was doing his best. But did I have to choose between sports and school? Well, I had to go to school. Everyone goes to school. There's Olympic champions today who go to university every single day and become world champions. It's possible, but you have to become a master of your time. How do we become masters of your time? Cut the fat. All the things that are completely unnecessary or not serving you, out. All right.
Yeah, I just want to chime in because I pretty much agree with Milo said, because I was also the athletic student, because my sports, I go to the Ivy League in my country. I literally remember my dad tell all my friends and the relatives about the story when I was like 5 or 6 years ago, because at that time I'm originally from China. The first generation we start to explore like sports, art, music, dance. I literally remember in my first grade I can choose either my sports or play the piano. At that time, my mom and dad spent 3 months salary to buy the electronic piano for me, but I tell my mom that I don't want that. I want to go to sports because I love sports. So even I'm sick, I feel bad, I go to swimming. But as Milo said, because I love my sports, my life is during my school year, my teenager years, only sports and school, because I love it. So back to the point, I do believe that kids need to pick what they really love. Even I was an athlete. Unfortunately, both of my kids not engaged in any sports like Milo's kid.
My sports hero, he said, in swimming, life is very black and white. All right, if you look at like success possibility, like if you work really, really hard in swimming, you're gonna have one result, say a white result. If you give everything, your whole life to this goal, you have a chance of having pure white result or 100% success. If you don't do anything, then you're gonna have the very opposite, which is a dark result. All right. Now, his point was when you quit swimming and you enter the real world, you're never going to have a white result or a black result. You're going to have a gray result, just because life depends on many factors. It depends on the traffic. It depends on your teammates, your team members in work. It depends on what's going on at home. All right, you have to sort of learn to live in the gray and just accept that you're never going to have 100% of some results. So maybe my suggestion to you would be to raise awareness with your child or just people and saying like, hey, what is it that's most important to you? What is it that you're most passionate about? What is it that makes you happy? Because if you're not doing that and you're not satisfying the needs of that activity, chances are you're going to be left frustrated or feeling like, hey, like I'm achieving 70% of success just because I've got all these other things. It's like, well, how important are those other things? Very, very important to speak with your children and to prioritize. Question?
I think it might have been getting at, because through my job, we've studied the high schools, is there is a very high expectation at especially one certain high school, that the students take all AP and all IB classes.
Yeah.
And I've spoken with the district, that is a choice that is heavily weighed from the parents. They said not the students. And so those students suffer greatly from depression, lack of sleep, and anxiety, and a lot of things. So I think that might be what the question is, like, is that as important as the other things? I think that's where the question
I have athletes who have completed 2 years of college before going to college.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that is substantial. Think about the amount of money that they're saving, their families. To go to school today, depending on where you go, it could be somewhere between $30,000 and $75,000 a year. They just saved their families $150,000 by getting 2 years of school in. Now the question is, how important are those advanced classes today? How happy are they?
Do you think there's something in your either your environment, your upbringing that helped you be like mentally resilient in terms of putting in that kind of regimen and effort day in and day out?
I have no relationship with my father. There's many people, high performance, that have no relationship with their parents. I have many athletes every single year. There's an attrition rate of 15%, people that quit their sport just because from the age of 7, their parents were nailing them. An 11-year-old girl who has never seen a movie. Think about that for a moment. I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm talking about a movie, something that's for fun. So those AP classes are great. It's one less thing to do when you go to college. But you have to sort of weigh how important is that right now. Do you even want to go to college? Did you even ask? We don't know until we ask. My son, he wants to be a scientist today. You know, I'm not sure he understands how much work there is. To be a scientist, you got to be a doctor. To be a doctor, you have to know everything about a field so that you can find something new, the smallest, tiniest thing, so that you can contribute to the field. This is why we respect scientists and doctors, right?
Excuse me, I have a question about your schedule. This is your high school schedule, right?
Yes, this is my actual high school schedule from 1998 to 2002.
Yeah, I think this is for the adolescents to do the schedule for themselves. It's easier. I just want to know. I have a son the same age as your son. Is 9 years old. So when, as a parent, what time is good for the kids to let them to make this schedule that is this schedule is good for them? I mean from the elementary school over.
I would be a hypocrite to tell you that my son does this today, because his schedule is really available.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So as a parent, we need to have the kids to do the list, the schedule for them. I'm
going to start it for him, and then maybe one day have him revise his schedule based on his needs. So what I do with my clients that I work with remotely is I have them build this out. When we plan goals, what is it that you want to achieve? Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to achieve one thing, you have to come up with 3 things that must happen for this goal to be possible. Mm-hmm. And then we come up with a couple of activities for each thing to make sure that it's possible, right? Mm-hmm. So again, if my goal is to be, to achieve a certain result in swimming, I need to make sure that my legs are strong, that my arms are strong, and that my health is good. And for every one of those 3 things, I'm going to have 3 activities that I will do to ensure that my legs are strong, like jump roping. I'm going to ride my bike for 30 minutes twice a week. These are small things that if we do, then we can objectively say that my legs are in shape. My arms are better because I've been doing push-ups and pull-ups. I know myself, my biggest drug in life is Coca-Cola. I will not have Coca-Cola in my house, but twice a week when I go out, I will drink some Coke. This is self-control for me.
So that means your son is available. This means it's flexible.
Flexible, yes.
Okay, got it.
All right, when we manage stress, guys, we have to sort of observe what is it that's within our control versus out of control. And these are things that I highly recommend that you talk to your kids about. If they're in stress, ask them just openly ask them, what is it that you're feeling about the situation? What is it that we know? We know that by raising awareness about a situation, we're able to differentiate what we can control versus what we cannot. All right. Stress levels increase by focusing on things outside of our control in 3 ways. It says negative triggers and emotions are activated. We create mental roadblocks and we begin to overthink. For example, I need to arrive at a swimming competition on time. I know that for me to get from here to there, it takes exactly 25 minutes. If you drive on the 405 regularly or whatever highway you know, there are accidents. These accidents sometimes block the road. Now, you might be in the car knowing that you're going to arrive at this place late, whether it's a musical recital or some event, doesn't matter. Now, you're going to be sitting in the car freaking out. I'm not going to arrive on time. Now, you could be under stress, or you could sort of raise awareness about this opportunity. It's like, hey, is this within your control right now? It is not. Okay, let's not worry about that. It is what it is. So in raising awareness about a situation, if we can talk about what is it that we can control, in a situation we can control our attitude, our effort level, and preparation. All right. Something uncontrollable in a sports situation, it might be poor officiating, playing mistakes. All right. Again, like what we cannot control what another person is going to do. We cannot control the weather. We cannot control the traffic. We cannot control a million situations. So why are we hitting our head in the wall about things that are not within our control? By raising this awareness, you will see your children's stress level lower, just because they then will take responsibility off of themselves. Does that make sense? Coping with pressure in high stakes situations. I remember asking Laura and Judy, like, what is a high stakes situation for a high schooler? And it's just, and truly it's whatever it is that they perceive to be high stakes. All right. Now, one thing about high stakes is everything is just it's a matter of perspective. What I think is high stakes might not be high stakes for you. It is literally a matter of the glasses that I put on. If I were to take any pair of glasses, what I see is what I see, but it might be a different color. It's literally nothing but a perspective. All right. A perspective, it's a subjective experience that is shaped by our individual viewpoints, which determine the psychological and emotional response. We can deconstruct or deframe viewpoints to become more manageable. All right. Now, we have to sort of understand, like, this perspective that I have, is it truly my perspective, or is this a perspective that was given to me from someone else? You must pass the SAT with a high score, or else this college will not take you. My mother, she never played sports because growing up in the country that my family is from, girls just did not play sports. This was a perspective. This was something that was just widely accepted. Is it true? It's not true at all. But this is just something that she was taught very, very early on. All right. If we ask questions about our perspectives that we have, we're able to differentiate the truths based on our own beliefs and the actual truths. All right. There is a situation and the way we perceive it, and then that is the situation actually how it is. By speaking with your kids and sort of seeing, like, well, what is it that you feel? Why do you believe this to be true? What is it about this situation that is stressing you out? You know, we're just raising awareness, and again, their stress levels will lower. And at the end of the day, if you plan, if you plan something and prepare for something, chances are your stress levels will be lower. If you've done the work, if you've studied, if you've trained, you're going to come into a situation and you're not going to feel as much stress just because you've done the work. You feel good about yourself. Whenever we do the work and the study and the practice, we tend to do better than those that did nothing. All right? Those that did nothing and go into a situation, they seem to be the most stressed out just because they know the truth. They don't deserve to be here. They're not ready. So planning and preparing ahead of time, not the night before, but weeks or even months before, it will definitely alleviate stress. And I tend to ask my athletes, well, what is it about? I just had an athlete yesterday who was sick for a month, an ear infection, could not get in the water. She's going to a big meet tomorrow, and it's like, well, what are your expectations? Well, I'm not going to go all my best times. It's like, no, you're probably not going to go your best times in anything. It's like, well, why would you go your best times if you haven't even touched the water in a month? What is it about not touching the water in a month which gives you any sense of the ability to do your best? And then she was like, well, I guess I guess I should lower my expectations. So it might be helpful. If it's cold, you can close the window, but air is good.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah. This is again, just know that pressure is a perspective, and knowing where these perspectives come from is a very, very good place to start in conversation. All right, you're not giving anybody your perspective; you're just asking questions about their perception of their perspective. Strategy to sort of coping with pressure. I sort of have this picture here to sort of illustrate that if you have a vision or a plan, you might be able to build a strategy based on this plan, and then your job is to execute and then hope for success. In any case, raising awareness about a situation is really helpful, as we just talked about. Creating an affirmation statement. We're going to talk about an affirmation statement. Basically, an affirmation statement is just something that you say to yourself to make you feel good or to believe in yourself. It's incredible how much better, how much success there is if you're just able to tell yourself something nice every day, or say something good about yourself, or just telling yourself that you believe in something. It's a big deal. Asking your child, your athlete, to give you 1 to 3 examples of when they were successful in something is really, really useful. If they say, like, I'm not going to succeed, or I'm having a difficult time, it's like, well, tell me 1 example of when you were successful in doing something that you wanted to do. It's like, well, I got an A on my test last week. So you are capable of greatness. Yeah. What did you need to do for that? Well, I put in work, for 2 weeks in preparation for this. And what they're doing is they're raising awareness about what was required to achieve that goal. If they give you 1 example, ask for a second example. If they can't come up with a second example, you tell them the time when they were successful in something. The whole idea in managing and coping in stressful situations is to pump them up in their sense of selves. They have to feel good about themselves if they're going to be able to cope with the situation. And again, if you're under pressure, working out, breathing, and meditating, very, very, very good. When we talk about raising awareness, what does it really mean? Like, well, to raise awareness is to ask open-ended questions. All right. An example of an open-ended question is, what are you feeling? How does that feel? Let them tell you what does it feel like and how it feels. Do not give them any reason to feel any certain way. Just ask them, what are you feeling right now? After they tell you something, wait a moment or 2 or 3, and then ask them to tell you more. When somebody tells you something and you look at them and you just process it for like a second or 2, they get really uncomfortable. And while it's boiling, and then you just keep asking, like, what are you feeling right now? Right? It's incredible what happens if you just ask somebody how they're feeling and you just pause between their answers. All right. If by saying what they're feeling, you're actually having them put like a finger down on the thing that's hurting them at that very moment. That thing. Once you can put your finger down on that thing, you can go on to ask them, like, well, how do you know that pain or whatever it is that you're feeling is true? Have them actually intellectually describe it. Emotionally, intellectually, it doesn't matter. Just have them describe it. And as they're describing and putting words into this, they're actually able to put their whole palm on this whole